This is the Rewind with Jimmy Hyams on Full Disclosure. We're interviewing sports personalities in the Knoxville area, and our guest is Cooper Mays, star center at the University of Tennessee. Cooper, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. A.G. Hines Company. They've been around for over 100 years, selling building materials since anyone can remember. You signed with Tennessee. You had a loyalty to Jeremy Pruitt because he stood by you. So your first year at Tennessee, what happens? COVID. And so there's limited contacts with a lot of stuff. They weren't even sure a season would be played. You ended up starting the year, I think, in late September. What was that year like for you as a freshman at Tennessee?
Oh man, really unorthodox. I didn't even really know it yet because I hadn't experienced college beforehand. I think I reported the 4th of January, and then March 11th, actually my birthday. March 11th was the first day of spring break, but that's when kind of the country started with COVID, and COVID kind of took over. So I only got to experience maybe a month and a half of actual school and going through football and everything. It was just weird, just kind of life stopped for a little bit.
And you also started at a bit of a disadvantage because you had to go through surgery. You weren't able to work out. And I think that maybe even carried over to early summer, didn't it?
For sure. The biggest problem with COVID for me was I had surgery on my foot, the broken bone that I played on in high school. I had surgery on it. I think it was February 17th was the day, and then obviously I had a couple weeks worth of rehab that I got to do. But when COVID hit, we couldn't do rehab. We couldn't be around the facility. Kind of everything was shut down, and I couldn't access the training room for a good bit. So I ended up kind of having to rehab my foot and everything alone over there with bands in my room, just doing stuff like that. But it ended up, I think we got back and reported back in June, early June or something like that, and that was the first time I'd had a bar on my back since the surgery date or beforehand. Really since my senior year of high school, because my foot was broken all through the way. I was like, I'm not squatting on this thing. It hurts too bad. So I ended up with just the bar on my back the first day of summer when we came back, squatting 45 pounds, and ended up, starting, I think, 3 games at center that year. So ended up doing pretty well.
Your brother Cade returned from Georgia to play at Tennessee. So you guys had an opportunity to be on the offensive line at the same time. I know that had to be a great moment for you.
I cherished every bit of it. My first start actually came beside Trey and Cade. Those were both my guards when I was playing center. So wasn't bad company there, and they helped me out a lot.
So the season didn't go that well. I think Tennessee went 3-7. Jeremy Pruitt gets fired, and there's a lot of angst among the Tennessee football team, the players. But from what I understand, you and Cade probably were influential in keeping some of those players from leaving Tennessee. What was your message to those that were looking at jumping ship?
My biggest message, and Cade talked a lot too, was just kind of just wait and see, a little bit. I think, it was really easy to get to a point during the time. I think we were in the middle of kind of fluctuating coaches for a good period of maybe 2 months, maybe, or something. I don't know exactly the time frame, but there was a good amount of time for some weeks maybe that we didn't know exactly who the coaches or the coaching staff was going to be. It was kind of all a fluid situation. So at that point, a lot of people wanted to kind of just go somewhere where there was solid foundation, and I can't really be mad about that. But me and Cade knew we were going to stay there, and knew however it shook out, it was going to be fine with us. And I think the biggest thing was we wanted to help convince the guys that were going to be helping us to stay. The guys that were playing around us. Some of the O linemen, just the guys that we really liked and we wanted to stay around. Me and Cade spent a lot of time talking to them and helping them through it.
So what was your first reaction when you heard Tennessee had hired Josh Heupel?
Oh man, I didn't know too much about Coach Hype. Anybody that kind of knows me knows I don't watch football outside of when we're watching film and trying to prepare for opponents. I didn't know too much about him. learned quickly that he was a baller. You know, at first glance he doesn't look like a Heisman finalist or anything, but
Or
that was
second glance.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, probably not the second or third, but he was a stud on the field, and he's a good coach, and he's what we needed, I think, and I didn't know much.
Andrew's physical therapy at Blaine and Strawberry Plains. That's where I've gone to rehab my knee, shoulder, and elbow. When rubbing a little dirt on it ain't good enough. Yeah.
I was just kind of waiting on to see how he was and how he handled himself and everything, and he's been great for us.
So he ran the up-tempo offense with success at a variety of places. Did you go look at film of some of the Missouri or Central Florida where he had coached?
No, not beforehand. I mean, they got here quick. I mean, I think from when the time that they were hired to the time Coach Ellerby was in there showing us film and cut-ups and stuff of what they did, I think it was a span of a couple days. So, they got after it quick, and they don't waste much time. So, we got our healthy dose of UCF film.
Did you feel like this would be an offense that's going to be great for me? Or did you worry about, man, this is a fast-paced thing. I'm not sure if I'm well suited for this.
I thought I didn't really think about it in terms of like if I'm suited for it or not. I was kind of just scared about how tired I was going to be and how much oxygen I was going to need on just a every second basis. I was kind of worried about that. I knew I was kind of a smaller guy anyway, and that I had good conditioning and that I could outlast anybody on the field. I wasn't too worried about that, but the main outlook was just how hard it was going to be to continue those drives.
So let me get back to your playing with your brother Cade. You won a state championship with him at Catholic High School. Where does that rank compared to playing with him at the University of Tennessee?
I'd probably say that the championship in high school was one of our top moments. But college was good too. Me and Cade, anybody that knows me and Cade knows we're pretty opposite, especially when we were younger. He was very fiery and intense, and I kind of, was just cool, calm, and collected all the time. So we were pretty much opposites for a while. As we've gotten older, we've kind of grown more to be more alike, and we got pretty close once he left to Georgia, because I think when we were in Kingston, living together all the time, it was constantly something. So we were into it a lot. Not putting hands on, not fighting like that, but we always had our little fights and bouts. So it was good to have a good distance, and then I think that kind of made us grow closer in the end.
So Cade transfers from Georgia to Tennessee. Georgia wins a national championship. And I remember Cade was asked about, hey, you passed up on a national championship to go to Tennessee. What did you think about that? And he said it was worth it. He said, no money or no accolades could surpass playing with my brother. What does that mean to you when you hear that he had said that?
It's special. I know he knows that I feel the same way. It's really the biggest thing that we ever got to do. That's something we kind of looked at as a goal for us to do that our whole lives. That was what I talked about earlier with that being my big thing. I wanted to go to Georgia to play with him. It wasn't that I really wanted to go to Georgia. Georgia's great.
Yeah.
I like Georgia's a great place and everything, but it was more about me wanting to play with Cade. So it's definitely been one of the biggest blessings of our life, I think. I know he'd agree.
Hendon Hooker's the quarterback. You lead the nation in scoring. You lead the nation in total offense. You beat LSU, Alabama, Florida. You beat Clemson in a bowl game. Did you envision that could potentially happen that season?
I knew we were going to be special. I didn't know just how special it would have been and how it would turn out, but it was great. It was probably still one of the best years of my life as far as just being in college. That all of those experiences combined with all the great people that were involved, it was second to none, honestly.
What made Hendon Hooker so good?
Consistency. I always say that he's a grown man. He was a mature guy, and came to work every day and acted as if whatever. I don't know. You never know what's going on in anybody's day or anybody's life, but some people show it. You know, some people you can tell the whole story just off the look on them and how they talk to people. But Hendon was going to be the same guy every single day and have great infectious energy. If Hendon Hooker told me to run through a brick wall, I'd before the sentence was over, I was already running. And then Hendon would be right there behind you. So that's what makes him special.
Nico Iamaleava, and he started in the Citrus Bowl against Iowa, 35-0 win. He performed really well. Do you see special things for him?
Oh, for sure. You know, I've anytime anybody's asked me about Nico since he first got here, big time kid. You know, before football, he's a great kid, super humble, super respectful. Just wants to play his role the best way he can, get his job done. No extra chit chat, nothing else. He just wants to do his part, and I can really respect that, especially coming from a guy that I don't know. If I was in his shoes, I probably wouldn't be the most humble and cordial guy. I don't know if I'd be much different than I am right now, but there'd be a lot more opportunities too. And for just him to come in from the first day, just super nice, super humble, asking me, Coop, what's going on here? Just kind of explain it to me, and just seeing that, especially in this day and age, is super cool.
Do you see similarities between Nico and Hendon Hooker?
Man, similarities, yes. More on the personality side. I mean, they're not big talkers. Hendon was so much older than Nico, so it's a little bit different. It's hard to compare those two guys, but they're both going to do great things. And Nico is extremely special. On the field, off the field, like just super talented and a super good kid.
You missed the first few games of last year. I think you had hernia surgery, and the offense really sputtered against Florida. Was that tough for you to watch, not being on the field to help your teammates?
It was. It was really rough, especially being down in in Florida when it was happening. Just stinks not being out there in the fight. That's the biggest thing I love is just being out there with the guys, being in the mix of things, and just especially when you're down there watching it, can't do anything about it. It was not a great night, that's for sure.
I want to ask you a couple of kind of personal questions about you and Cade. Cade, a big hunter. In fact, I was told that he killed a dozen turkeys in 7 states in the spring. He gets after it in hunting. Your dad said you're more of a social hunter. If you don't have friends going with you, you're not going to go hunt. Is that pretty accurate?
That's about accurate.
Yeah.
I just don't. Man, the big thing is all the good hunting's a little bit away from here, depending on what you're trying to get. But it's hard. It's hard for me. We don't got a lot of free time. Cade's in the league, and they give y'all a little bit more free time when you're up there. But we don't. We don't get much free time in college, so it's hard for me. When we get so little time to drive out, all that time or fly out or whatever, it's tough. But Cade loves it, and I'm sure when I get done with football, I'll join into it a little bit more.
You have a younger brother, Camp. He's 9 years old. Tell me about your relationship with him.
Super unique kid. Super grown up and mature for his age. He just turned 9 June 19th. But I think he's like 5'2", 160, somewhere around in there. Maybe even bigger now. He's growing all the time. So you never know. But great kid. Reminds me a lot of myself. He's kind of more like Cade's body, but between the ears, he's more like me. I feel like he's kind of quirky and just kind of beats to his own drum. But he's a great guy.
Your dream vacation location, Santorini, Greece. Why?
I don't know. I think it's beautiful. I think anything in Greece would be fine. I don't think I would judge, but Greece is a good spot.
You were part of the Vols leadership program. You went to Rwanda a couple of years ago, and there were a number of football players that also went. There were athletes in other sports also. What was that experience like?
Probably the best experience of my life. Just getting to get out of my comfort zone, get out of this country and kind of see how other cultures live, how other people live, and how they kind of do what they do. Super cool. Definitely the best couple weeks of my life. Changed my life forever for sure.
How did it change your life?
Just seeing the way that they operate. They don't have much, you know,
Yeah.
compared to what we have. We're very we're very much a materialistic society, and you know, everything is very much of the flesh and you know what we can get our hands on. But I feel like the people over there where we're just so, you know, kind of more of the spirit, you know, them just existing and getting through the day was a success to them, you know. Whereas we've got so much pressure on us here to do so much in a day, get so much done, you know, make X amount of money, and it has to be a good day only if those requirements are met. But they just had a good time, you know, whatever it was, they were having a good time. Always had a smile on their face.
There was a swimmer on the trip, Margaret Mirando, and she was a bone marrow donor. She took the test. She was a match for somebody that lived out west. And so she went up to Boston to go through the procedures. And basically, it took away almost half of her year as a swimmer. That's a heck of a sacrifice, isn't it?
Oh, man. I couldn't imagine, you know, just kind of putting someone else before yourself and just, you know, realizing she lost out on something that she had competed for and trained for and done so much for, and for her to realize that something was more purposeful in her life and that something was more meaningful, super crazy. I couldn't imagine, you know, doing something like that.
Whether you're an athlete or not, that's hard to do, isn't it?
That's about the highest form of sacrifice you could have right there, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody would be up for that other than her.
Couple more questions. So if I told you about 10 years ago, you'd be a 4-year starter at Tennessee, you'd have more than 2,000 snaps, you'd be a 3-time All-Academic performer, an All-SEC performer, what would you have thought?
Oh, I would have been a little bit. I would have been a little bit surprised. I don't know about all the other stuff you added on the back, but I would have thought I was playing at Tennessee. I remember I texted not texted, but we had like an in-school email kind of sort of thing at Sacred Heart Cathedral School is where I went to middle school, and I guess that would be about 10 years ago. You know, I'm 23 right now. I was 13 in middle school probably. So I ended up emailing for some reason. I emailed I think it was my history teacher at the time, and I was like, I will be in a couple years. I will have a scholarship offer from Tennessee, and I kind of made that prediction in middle school. I don't know why. That's why I didn't feel much of the pressure, is because I kind of just always kind of knew it would happen or thought it would happen. Like in my brain, obviously I didn't know it would happen, but in my brain I was like, I know it's gonna happen, you know. So I wasn't very loud about it or very boisterous or anything, but a lot of people didn't think I would, you know, play here. Even a lot of my own friends, you know, back in high school would, even if you asked them, they probably would have said, or they would have said that I was too small to play and that I probably would have never played here. But I don't know. I just thought I was always going to be like, growing up, I always thought I was going to be like my dad and brother and uncle. Like I always thought I was going to end up somehow just falling into it. You know, it's like a family tradition or something. So I don't know if I would have been too surprised, but I would have been surprised about all the other stuff, the All-SEC and the academic stuff, probably a little bit.
A couple other questions. Expectations for Tennessee this football season?
Oh, man. It's always got to be a championship, you know. I think that's the biggest thing is Hype always talks about expecting, you know, not hoping or believing, but expecting. So I think we expect championship at the end of the year.
NFL aspirations, I'm sure you would love to play at the next level.
For sure. Want to be able to set my future family up. So. Would
you be excited if Carolina drafted you?
Oh yeah, I'll take.
Which is where your brother is.
I'll take anybody that will have me. I just want to play football. Hopefully the taxes aren't too bad wherever I go. I don't know. I don't know if I'd love to play with my brother if the situation were right. But I wouldn't want to compete with him for a spot, you know, and maybe one of us not make it and him the other make it, or you know, the other way around. I don't know if I would like that, but definitely where the taxes are low and the situation's good.
Cooper, appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck to you this year and in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.